Well, that's a great question. And first of all, I'd like to thank all the fans of the Facebook webpage for sending in the questions. They were all excellent. Acclimation from a spaceflight is an interesting animal. In fact, the longer you are in space, the more interesting it becomes. I had the opportunity to fly in space for almost 6 months, and I would tell you that when I got back to Earth after those 6 months, one of the most difficult things that became apparent right off the bat was being able to walk in a straight line. You basically lose your sense of balance because you don't really have to be balanced in space in the presence of microgravity, which is the same as effectively living without gravity. And so many astronauts, upon walking off of the space shuttle, end up needing to be careful that they don't bump into the walls on their way outside onto the flight line after coming out of the space shuttle. The other thing that I noticed was that I also got a bit lightheaded. And again, this speaks to the fact that while you're in space, your heart gets used to pumping the blood without having to worry about fighting against gravity. So when you come back into the gravity field, basically what happens is that the heart has to work a lot harder, and sometimes it takes some time for it to adjust, which means that you could get lightheaded at times. And then one of the more interesting things that I found coming back from that long space flight with just a couple of people around me, I had kind of a hard time getting used to being around people again. And so I would tell you that it was about 30 days before I could get used to what it was like to be around large crowds. And that was not something I expected to have happen. The medical doctors were really good about informing us about what would happen to the physical body upon coming back from a space flight. But there was not a whole lot of information about what would happen to you psychologically when you were gone for a long time off of the Earth's surface and not around a lot of people. So in about 30 days I got used to being around people again, which was probably a good thing since that is the way we live on Earth. And I think that probably answers most of the story about acclimating to space. So thank you again for your question.